pineapple under the sea.
THUNDERVISION!
Absorbent and yellow and porous is he.
THUNDERVISION!
If nautical nonsense be something you wish,
THUNDERVISION!
then drop on the deck and flop like a fish.
THUNDERVISION!
Good morning, T-Birds. Welcome to our winter episode of THUNDERVISION. I'm Dylan.
And I'm Chris.
In this episode, we'll talk with juniors about their plans for the future and how guidance scheduling is preparing them for that.
Jack will speak with Mr. Jazal about the importance of social studies, and Braden will recap the Super Bowl.
Sarah and Severa will review a new indie game, Mouthwashing.
And Ethan will review Dune 2.
And I'll sit down with Mr. Carticello and Mr. Woods to learn all about their experience on human versus hamster. Right now, Connecticut High School students are in the process of meeting with their guidance counselors to plan their schedules next year. For juniors, this is especially important as they're planning for their final year of high school and thinking about what their future after high school might look like. Chris tells the story.
Greetings, Connecticut. It's around that time of year where lots of people are looking to where they want to go for college and what they want to do. And so I decided to go around and ask a couple juniors about what they wanted to do, why they wanted to do it, and about the college application process. Let's see what they have to say. Who am I here with?
Samantha DeLuca.
Austin Baker.
Daniela Carbonaro.
What do you want to do for college?
I want to be a forensic scientist.
I want to be a editor for movies.
I want to go to be a physician's assistant, so like pre-PA programs and stuff.
Do you have any colleges in mind that you would like to go to?
My top school is University of New Haven in Connecticut.
Either Ithaca or NYU is the goal.
I'm going to visit like the University of Delaware and Geneseo soon, so hopefully somewhere like that.
Do you have any idea about the college application process?
I am aware that I will probably need SAT scores or ACT scores. There's also just kind of like an essay that I have yet to figure out.
I know you gotta get scholarships. I know you gotta do the SAT stuff. And I know you gotta write some essays.
No.
Nothing?
Nothing.
As we see with these interviews, we could see that not many of us know the whole process. So let's ask the head of the guidance department for a little bit of help. Who am I here with?
Hi, I'm Mrs. Yoni Kohler. I'm the Director of Guidance.
Do you mind if you please tell me a little bit about the college search process?
Absolutely. So we're going to be starting the college search process for juniors next week with our college night for juniors. It is the 12th at 7 o'clock in the auditorium. I definitely recommend that all juniors and their families come if they're available. Then in March, we're going to be having junior conferences where you'll be meeting with your counselors to talk about the college search process and what you should be doing to engage in that. And then I really recommend that after all of those things happen, you get onto Naviance, you start doing student searches and building your list of schools that you'd be interested in possibly applying to, but definitely taking visits to.
All right, thank you. Now, do you mind if you tell me a little bit if any juniors might need help during this process?
Sure. I definitely recommend if you need help coming down, making an appointment with your counselor. That one-on-one time with your counselor is a great way to make sure that they understand what you need, where your concerns are, and how best to guide you to get over that hump.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for talking with us. Hopefully see you soon.
Thank you.
So juniors, if you need any help with this upcoming process, make sure to head down to your guidance department for as much help as you can get.
Thanks, Chris. Our reporter Jack has been meeting with teachers this year to discuss why their subjects are important. This month, he tackles social studies. Over to Jack.
Today, we will be talking about social studies. Why do we need it? Why is it important to teach people history? And is it really as important as people say it is? We will be interviewing some students and even a teacher regarding their opinions on the topic. First, we have a student who really likes social studies.
Who am I here with?
Andrew Fontaine.
All right, Andrew, what do you think about social studies?
I like it. I like social studies.
What do you like about it?
I like my teacher. I just like the subject in general. It's interesting.
What's the most interesting part about it then?
Just learning about the past, just the past in general, what to do, what not to do, and the cool things about it.
What do you think the most important part of social studies is?
Learning the past and not to repeat it, just that.
All right, nice talking to you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks, Andrew. Next, we have an interview with a teacher.
All right, who am I here with, and what do you do in the school?
Okay. Hi. Good morning, everybody. I'm Mr. Drizel. I teach AP US History, so I'm in the Social Studies department. I also teach an elective on social media called Social Media and Society.
All right, what do you think the most important part of social studies is?
More than just social studies, I think the most important thing that teachers do, and I'm going to kind of take this in a different direction, I think the most important thing teachers do is that we make you guys think, right? So I happen to use history to make you think. You know, a math teacher uses equations to make you think. An English teacher uses literature to make you think. A science teacher uses the periodic table of elements to make you think. But again, social studies teachers, we use history to make you guys think. And that's a great skill. No matter which job you're going to have, no matter what career you're going to get into, having to think and think for yourself is a really important skill.
Is there anything else about social studies you'd like to say? Just any like electives?
Again, though, I think we, as a department, have some great electives. Many of them are very heavily based on current events, which students tend to enjoy. So I think you really probably can't lose when you're taking a social studies class, and you probably can't lose when you're taking a social studies elective, because it really allows you to talk about, obviously, somewhat of the past, but also how these things affect us currently as well.
All right, nice talking to you. Have a good day.
Same. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Drizel.
Lastly, we have a student who thinks that social studies isn't very important.
Who am I here with?
Corey Davis.
All right, Corey, what do you think about social studies?
I don't think it's really needed anymore.
Why not?
I think after middle school you get enough information already.
Why do you think that?
Mostly it feels a bit repetitive, and you do take a closer look in high school, but it just feels a bit more repetitive.
What is the most important part of social studies?
Still learning the bad parts of history, the mistakes we made, and how to fix them.
All right, anything else you'd like to add about social studies?
The good part about social studies is that my teacher rocks. He's amazing. It's Mr. McCarthy.
All right, nice talking to you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Corey. These interviews show that no matter how you feel about social studies, you can still understand why it would be important for younger generations to understand our history.
Thanks, Jack. Now over to Sarah and Severa, who will talk with us about a new game they've been playing called Mouthwashing.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Severa.
And today we're reviewing Mouthwashing.
So how did you feel about Mouthwashing?
I felt like I really liked the low resolution. It kind of reminded me of old PS2 games, sort of like Silent Hill and Resident Evil.
I feel like the visuals really did add to it. Sometimes it did make it a little confusing, like I couldn't quite make something out. There was like a little bit of difficulty when playing the game. The game wasn't like difficult though, it's just like some steps you might not like
understand.
Fully grasp.
Yeah, first, yeah. I think, who was your least favorite character?
My least favorite character? Probably Jimbo. I hate Jimbo, I don't like Jimbo.
We don't like Jimbo.
Bad character, 1 out of 10. My favorite is probably Anya.
I love Anya.
Anya. I like everyone except for Jimbo.
I was like okay with Swansea, I don't know.
I feel like he's like so-so in the beginning and then he redeems himself.
Right,
so.
yeah. There is one scene with the graveyard that I was so confused on.
Yeah, no. That, straight up, I was lost. And when we did figure it out, we couldn't actually like get past it. It took us
like
a while.
30
minutes.
minutes.
A while to get past it. We did eventually. It was torturous. So that was difficult, but it's like, once again, when you get it, it's like, you're fine.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Another part that wasn't quite difficult, but if you don't figure it out, you're gonna have a hard time. There's a part where you have to run from a horse. The horse is watching you, and you have to run.
So you can't make any noise, you have to like...
Yeah, you're supposed to be quiet, and you're supposed to follow a path.
It's like a blind horse.
But it's difficult because that horse is watching you, and that horse, if you mess up, if you get too loud, it eats you, and you have to restart. And that was annoying, but I do like the game.
I really just liked how like easily followable like the storyline was though, even though like at times like the actual tasks were a little hard to figure out. I really liked the symbolism in certain scenes that allude to like things that just we don't see as the player.
Especially if you replay it, when you go back and you start to realize like things you didn't realize the first time because you have like the new information from finishing it, it becomes like a lot more just interesting, I think.
Yeah.
So I really like that. It's like there are all these little details to make you want to come back.
Although sometimes being like the narrator switches were a little bit confusing.
Yeah, so it doesn't always tell you when it's switching narrators. Like, it'll tell you you went back to a certain point in time, like, oh, like 6 days ago, but it won't tell you that you're a different person.
Yeah, exactly.
So that becomes confusing because you're walking around and you see the person that you thought you were playing as, and it's like, what's going on?
Why do I look like that?
Why do I look like that?
I think it was a really good game despite some of the flaws that we pointed out. I mean, it's one of the best modern psychological horrors out there currently on Steam. So, yeah, if you want to play it, you know, play for yourself, find out, and let us know, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to you guys in the studio.
There's no better way to spend a cold winter day than by streaming a good movie. Ethan recently rewatched Dune Part 2. Over to him.
Dune is a science fiction franchise written in 1965 by Frank Herbert. Dune is set in the distant future in a feudal interstellar society where various noble houses fight for control over planet systems in the galaxy. It tells the story of Paul Atreides, whose family accepts the stewardship of the planet Arrakis. While the planet is an inhospitable and sparsely populated desert wasteland, it is the only source of spice, a drug that extends life and enhances mental abilities. Spice is required for space navigation, which requires a kind of clairvoyance that only the drug provides. As spice is only found on Arrakis, control of the planet means control over all other houses. The story explores the multi-layered interactions of politics, religion, ecology, technology, and human emotion as the factions of the Empire confront each other in a struggle for control of Arrakis and its spice. Dune has had multiple adaptations to film and television before, but none had had much success until the 2021 film directed by Denis Villeneuve and starring Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya. It's recently had a sequel movie in 2024 and has another one in production set for 2026. If you're interested in watching these movies, they're available for streaming on HBO Max, Hulu, and Amazon Prime Video.
Thanks, Ethan. Dylan, you talked to some pretty famous people in our school, didn't you?
That's right, Chris. As many of you know, Mr. Carticello and Mr. Woods participated in Human vs. Hamster, a game show that's currently streaming on Max. In it, the human contestants compete against hamsters in various obstacle courses. It isn't every day our teachers can be seen on national TV, so I wanted to sit down, talk to them, and learn more about their experience. Let's start off with where and when was Humans vs. Hamster actually filmed?
We went to Toronto to film it in March of last year?
Last March.
Yeah.
Yep. I had been contacted by some of the people from the show about, hey, you know, we'd really like you to do this. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it was some of my acting work. I don't know if it was another show I did or whatever, but they contacted me. I ignored them about 3 times because I was just like, I don't even know what this is. Then I looked into it, and I was like, this seems like fun. And I said, I think John would be awesome to sort of be a partner with. So that's how we got involved.
You said you did other acting work? What have you done before?
I've done some film, TV shows, and some commercials, and this and that over the past few years. Probably the biggest thing I did a 5-part docudrama for the FX network that I had the starring role in. Oh, wow. Unfortunately, it was right before COVID hit. So it came out, and then everyone was like, oh my God, this is going to be great. You're going to get so much work. COVID hit, everything shut down, and it was forgotten about pretty much. But it's fun. I just, do things here and there just to keep it up.
Did you get paid for the Human vs. Hamster?
Very little.
in hamster feed, pretty much.
We had a $500 stipend when we were there from, the 7 to 10 days that we were hanging out. We had $500 that we could spend at our leisure.
Which we really didn't need so much because they provided everything for us.
They flew us there. They paid for the hotel.
Right.
They fed us breakfast and lunch every single day, and once in a while a dinner meal if we were there for a long time. So the $500 we actually didn't need that much. So we almost pocketed $400 out of that.
And then it was just whatever we won on the show.
Yeah,
we
don't want to give any spoilers out, but whatever we won on the show, that's what we made.
You guys had a lot of really good on-camera chemistry. It was really funny to watch.
Oh, good.
During that last challenge, you were doing really well. I could tell how difficult that must have been. But were the obstacles really as difficult as they seemed and were explained to the audience?
They were more difficult than they seemed and were explained, really. The last challenge was one of those things that we had to determine who was running that last challenge before we even knew we were in it. So we didn't know if we were even going to the final challenge. We didn't know if we were going to win, but we had to determine that. And the thing is, we're both competitive, and we both wanted to do it.
Yeah.
We flipped a coin to determine who was going to do the last challenge because we both wanted to. So the coin came up in my favor, and I was great. But how nervous was I, though, going into? Yeah, I was like, because at first I didn't want to embarrass him. I didn't want to disappoint him if I didn't do well. But when they finally showed it to us, it was crazy. It was just
big.
Yeah, it was big. It was long. I hated those dominoes. I saw stars on those dominoes. I fell head over heels, fell on my head on the way down, and I was dazed for a couple of seconds.
You have no training for any of it.
Yeah.
You kind of walk alongside of it, and they say, these are the obstacles you need to do. But like if you're in a classroom, you're not given a test right away. You're prepared for it. You're taught how to do certain things, and then you get to assess how well you could do it. This was not like that.
That's a good analogy.
Thank you.
That was good. That was good. We did that a lot while we were there.
We did.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You want to explain the belt?
The belt was really sort of a joke, I guess. We were still there, and I took a picture of the logo that they had on the wall. And I got it made up, and I didn't tell him that I got them made up. I got one for him also. And I had them sent to our houses, and they were here by the time we got back from Canada filming and stuff, just as a little memento for what we did. I wish it represented the championship and that we actually defeated.
A lot of people thought that. A lot of people saw them in our classrooms and were like, I think they won.
No, if we won, I was going to get the official medal gold heavy duty belt.
One.
Yeah, I was going to really get the ones, but these were just fun to have, just little mementos, reminders of our time there.
So the day after Human vs. Hamster premiered, a lot of teachers were actually showing their students the show. What was the reaction like from your students?
I felt honored that people, students that I've had in years past, students that I've never had, they all wanted to watch this show that a teacher in their school or maybe a prior teacher that they have has been on TV. Just that connection with the whole school was very nice.
I was nervous, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was nervous because we didn't get an advanced screening of the show. So we didn't get a chance to see it. So we're watching at the same time everybody else is watching it. So did we look like fools? Did they? We filmed so much more than what they showed. More interviews, more
behind the scenes.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like that we ended up filming that they edited out. So we didn't know what they were actually using or not using. So I was nervous. I didn't know how the show was actually going to come across and what it was going to look like. But afterwards, after seeing it, after hearing the reaction, because the students were just they were so gracious about it and have so much fun with it and stuff. So it was really a lot of fun.
And let's face it, anytime a student can watch TV instead of learn a math lesson or English lesson, they're down.
It's true.
Wow, that's really cool, Dylan. Now to Braden, who's doing a quick recap of the Super Bowl.
Hello, T-Birds. The Super Bowl has concluded. In what was anticipated to be a close game, one team pulled away. The Philadelphia Eagles are your Super Bowl 59 champions, winning 40-22 over the Kansas City Chiefs. The underdogs pulled through early in the game, scoring 24 unanswered points in the first half alone. While the Chiefs had begun to outscore the Eagles in the second half, the damage was already done. Impressive game plans and performances from the Eagles all over the field on both sides of the ball were abundant. Jalen Hurts, your Super Bowl MVP, had an incredible performance through air and land. The Super Bowl MVP had a 77% completion rate for 221 yards and 2 passing touchdowns, as well as 11 rushes for 72 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, totaling for 3 total touchdowns and 293 all-purpose yards. The Eagles receiving leaders Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown combined for over 100 yards, as well as a receiving touchdown each. On the other side of the ball, Cooper DeJean had an early interception, picking off Patrick Mahomes and returning it to the end zone, scoring a pick 6 in the Super Bowl as a rookie. On the D-line, Josh Sweat had an outstanding game with 2.5 sacks and 6 total tackles. The Eagles had a true well-rounded performance, as even the kicker, Jake Elliott, went 4 for 4 on field goals and 4 for 4 on extra points, totaling for 16 points. From the Chiefs, some notable performances were Xavier Worthy on the offensive side of the ball, recording 8 receptions for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns. And on the other side of the ball, Drew Tranquil had 11 total tackles, including a sack. Congratulations to Philadelphia on their 2nd Super Bowl in franchise history, and I hope the city of Philadelphia is still standing after the celebration from the Birds.
Thanks, Braden. The Ravens won, right? No, the Eagles. I really can't believe the Eagles won. Go team!
Well, that just about does it for this episode of THUNDERVISION.
Be sure to check out our YouTube channel for more Thunder Bites and current stories while we work on our next episode. Until then, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Chris. And we are THUNDERVISION.